In fairy tales, witches always wear silly black hats and black clothes and they ride on broomsticks, but this is not a fairy tale.
No, this is about real witches.
This story is about a boy named Luke Evesham who lives with his grandmother in Norway.
Luke is a brave and precocious 8-year-old boy who loves adventures.
Luke's grandmother Helga is a loving and doting grandmother to Luke, sharing with him stories about her childhood.
On one particular night, as they are making candles together, Helga tells Luke about witches, not the green-skinned, the broom-flying witches on television, but rather real witches who dressed in ordinary clothes and look like ordinary women.
Every country in the world has witches, and in each country they all have a leader called the High Witch. But the evilest woman in creation, the leader of all the witches, is the Grand High Witch. Witches spend their time stalking, plotting to get rid of humans. Helga also shows her missing pinky finger to her grandson, a painful proof of her unpleasant encounter with a witch. She then tells Luke about her childhood friend and neighbor Agatha, who was taken by a witch. Even though Agatha had very strict parents, it didn't save Agatha. Because when a witch chooses a victim, the only way to escape them is to know everything about them. Real witches hate children. They have bald heads and wear wigs that give them scalp rashes. They look hideous behind their human masks, and they have no toes, and wear plain shoes to cover their square and feet. The only way to distinguish them from real people is to look for the purple tinge in their eyes. Unfortunately, little Agatha didn't know about these things. When she was on her way to school, she disappeared and never came back home. She didn't come back, so the police arrived, and all of the search was set up. People from all over the town came together and set up a giant search party lasting through the night. But there was no sign of her. But witches don't murder anyone with knives or guns. That's how people get arrested. And witches never get arrested. They search for miles around.
Everyone in the country searched, but she completely and mysteriously vanished into thin air. Young Hilda visited parents a month later. When Agatha's father entered the room, he looked as if he had seen a ghost, for there in his painting, as if it has always been there, was Agatha locked inside the painting, smiling at them. Through the years, the girl in the painting moved. One day, she'd be feeding the turkeys, and the next day, she'd be inside the farmhouse. As years passed, the girl Agatha grew old. She got married, had children, until 6 years ago. The old woman that Erica had become disappeared completely. And so Helga ends the story. One day, Luke and his grandmother had to move to England. One day, as Luke and his friends were playing in the treehouse, a woman with a green snake approaches. Luke thinks the woman is a witch, but she eventually leaves and Luke and the other kids are safe.
One day, the grandmother is planning a vacation to a hotel for the summer. Luke wanders into the hotel conference room and discovers that there is a witch convention. Luke gasps in horror as he realized where he is. It's a room full of witches, and there's the Grand High Witch also there.
Luke overhears the Grand High Witch telling the witches how to get rid of all the humans in the world. She also instructs the witches to buy candy shops with the intention of feeding the humans candy that has a secret ingredient called Formula 86, a potion that can turn a human into a mouse. After the Grand High Witch uses the power of Formula 86 on Bruno, one of Luke's best friends that he met in the treehouse, Bruno turns into a mouse, and then Luke turns into a mouse as well.
In the event, Luke meets up with Bruno, who is eating a chicken drumstick. They climb up within the walls, looking for a way out. They run through the convention room and scutter through the lobby, avoiding detention. They enter the elevator, hiding under an old chip bag.
Luke and Bruno scurries to Luke's grandmother, and she is shocked to see their transformation. Luke told her about the Grand High Witch's plan, and they decide to use the Formula 86 against the witches at dinner. Luke and Bruno scatters the Grand High Witch's room while she's away and escapes with the Formula 86. Later that evening, Luke and Bruno sneaks into the kitchen and mixes the bottle of Formula 86 into the soup that will be served to the witches for dinner.
After the witches eat the soup, they begin to transform into mice, causing a big commotion in the hotel, and the Grand High Witch turns into a mouse. After Grandma, Luke and Bruno return home, a large trunk is delivered to Helga. She opens it and finds it filled with money. It was the money from Miss Ernst's hotel room. It turns out Luke replaced the tag on the trunk and had it delivered to them. He tells his grandmother that they could use the money to go to America to stop all the witches in the world. Just then the woman that Luke mentioned came to their house, pointed a finger at the house, and cast the spell. Luke and Bruno turned back into humans. In the end, the grandmother, Luke and Bruno turned all the witches into mice, and they live happily ever after.